Hey gang, Tim Healy here. Today we're going to be talking about three things. We're going to be talking about finding musicians to play with, we're going to be talking about the audition process, and we're going to be talking about keeping that gig once you have it. That's all coming up right now on Healy Drums. Okay, let's start with finding people to play with. Now, I think the first stop that most people make is social media, which is fine. You know, there's all sorts of groups you can join, like bands needing members or drummers looking for work. But the problem with social media is that sometimes you tend to get ghosted. I was all lined up for an audition, and the night of the audition, I'm sending a message to these people going, hey, what's the address and what time should I be there, and heard nothing back. So to me, nothing takes the place of good old-fashioned face-to-face networking. You know, get out and see some musicians in your town, meet people. Now, if you go see a band, chances are good they're not looking for a drummer, and even if they were, you're not going to talk about that at the gig. That's just bad manners. But they might know somebody who's looking for a drummer. So get out and meet some folks. Another great option to meet people, if it's available in your town, are open jams and open mic nights. There's a couple here in St. Louis, and I've met a ton of great players at these open jams. It's a great place to meet people, get up, get on stage, strut your stuff, and I guarantee you sooner or later, you'll be picked up. I've played in all sorts of bands over the years, and I've found that the audition process is largely the same, but I've also found there are three qualities that you can have that are going to set you apart from your peers, and those qualities are good communication, professionalism, and preparedness. So before you go on that audition, put those communication skills to work. Ask questions like, why is the position even open? If you hear on the other end of the phone, well, yeah, dude, you know, I fired 6 drummers in the last 5 months, major red flag alert, you may want to run. But the one question you want to make sure you ask above all is what to bring to the audition. And I know this sounds obvious, but I've been asked to bring my full rig. I've been asked to bring nothing but a pair of sticks, right? It just depends. So ask that question, otherwise it's game over before it's even begun. Okay, let's pretend that all goes well and you got the gig. Congratulations. Now the real work begins. You want to make sure you get up to speed on this material as quickly as possible and learn this stuff. Don't go into any new rehearsal, especially as the new person, unprepared, because you're leading up to that all-important first show together. Now, let's talk about the show. Before you go out and do your first show, you want to kind of get a sense from these folks as to what time they show up. Me personally, I love being the first guy there. I'm a drummer, I've got the most stuff. And I want to make sure I am set up and out of everybody's way by the time they arrive. This is a habit I've gotten into, and I know my bandmates appreciate it. Okay, I want to talk to you about some habits to steer clear from. The first habit I want you to be very, very careful about is alcohol. You know, if you're over 21 and you want to have a drink before the show, provided the group hasn't banned alcohol entirely, that's your choice. Knock yourself out. But as drummers, we've got 4 limbs in motion at all times, and there's plenty of opportunities to make mistakes even while sober. So probably a good idea that you keep your alcohol consumption in check. Second habit you want to steer clear from is being late. I mentioned it earlier. I love being the first guy there. I love being set up and out of everybody's way. It's a great habit to get into to be early. Finally, you don't want to get in the habit of forgetting stuff. If you're the kind of person who is forgetful and you need to make a physical punch list before you leave the house, do it. I got called for a band about 4 years ago. They fired their drummer because this guy would forget stuff no matter what. And the straw that broke the camel's back for the band was they were at a wedding about an hour away from the house, and the dude forgot sticks. And he didn't tell anybody. So about third song in, the guitar player turns around, notices something's not sounding quite right. This guy was playing with a screwdriver in one hand and a twig he found outside in the other. That was it. Gone. Game over. So please make sure you're prepared with everything you need. Okay, finally, let's talk about an in case of emergency kit. Here's what's in mine. A spare snare drum head. let's face it, if I break a tom head, I can get through the evening no problem. But if I break a snare drum head, dude, it is game over. So I always have a spare snare drum head in the car. I also carry with me gaff tape and one of these bass drum impact pads. Same deal. If I break a bass drum head, which in 45 years, fortunately, I never have, but these items will patch a bass drum head pretty well and get you through a night. I think it's best practice that you inspect your bass drum head regularly, and if it's looking a little thin, just go ahead and swap that sucker. I also carry with me a small toolkit to make repairs on hardware. I keep a hi-hat clutch with me. You know that little round nut on the bottom of a hi-hat clutch? Yeah, that thing can roll off stage and disappear into oblivion if you're not careful. So I always keep a spare clutch with me at all times. Finally, this one may sound a little odd, but I keep with me a full change of clothes, and here is the reason why. A few months back, we were getting ready to play a gig. We were loading in, normal night, and from out of nowhere, the skies opened up and it just poured down rain. I was soaked all the way through to my socks and my underwear, and thank God I had a spare change of clothes to not be wet and miserable all evening, right? I also carry with me, speaking of rain, a set of lawn garbage bags and a tarp. So if you're playing outside, you can protect your gear as much as possible should the skies open up. So that's it for this episode of Healy Drums. Leave a comment below and let me know what's in your in case of emergency kit, and let me know some of your best audition tips or practices. Let's keep that conversation going. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Keep hitting things with sticks, and we'll see you next time right here on Healy Drums. Take care.